back again to another Java short tutorial. In my previous tutorial I talked about how to do a basic application in Swing. I have talked about flow layout and grid layout, and in this video I'm going to talk about another layout manager called the border layout. So for that I'm again going to copy my previous example, and I'm going to name it Swing example number 3. And again, I mostly do this to save time, so I don't have to repeat a lot of steps I've already done in a previous video. Okay, this one doesn't have flow layout, by the way. It has grid layout, so flow layout can be removed. That's why it was marked as a warning, but that aside. Okay, so Swing example number 3. Swing example number 3 is going to show the border layout. And for that I need to use 4 controls. So in this case I'm going to stick with my text field controls, but turn them into buttons. Why is that? Because the example that I'm going to do works best with buttons, and I don't want to redeclare too many variables. So let's just do a quick refactor. GWTN name, GWTNH. And why am I using refactor? Because it will save me the trouble of modifying a lot of code. And GWTN city. Okay, that last one didn't go that well, but I'll fix it in a moment. Lastly, I'm going to add GWTN country. Okay, I think I'm going to use a 250 by 250 size and see how that goes. I'm going to delete my layout because I'm going to create a completely new layout. However, and I'm going to delete some of the now redundant variables. So that's the label, the text field gets to stay, the button gets to go. But like I said, these were buttons. So name, H, city, and lastly, so GWTN city and GWTN country equals new J button country. Okay, I'm also going to delete the adding to the J frame because that's going to be a bit different. Okay, so what do we have at this point? I have my J frame with 4 buttons. I have my basic setup. I have initialized all my buttons, and I've set my J frame to true. Okay, so now let's talk about this border layout. Okay, so the border layout I'm going to set using again the set layout method, and then say border layout equals, new border layout. Okay, the border layout is kind of an interesting type of layout, where the flow layout just keeps on stacking all the controls behind each other from left to right, top to bottom, and the grid layout organizes everything in a grid. The border layout assigns controls based on orientation, meaning I get to indicate whether or not I want to have one control completely at the top of my window, completely at the bottom, completely on the left, completely on the right, or in the center of everything. So what does that look like and how does that work? So basically I have 4 controls, and I'm going to assign these 4 controls to either one of the 4 sides of the actual J-frame window. So how do I do that? Well, okay, I use the add operation as per normal. I indicate the control name, and as opposed to there stopping there, I say border layout dot north in this case, meaning this name control is going to be all the way on the top of the window. Okay, then for the next control, GWTNH, I want to have this one all the way at the bottom, so south. JBTN city is going to be all the way on the left hand side of the screen, therefore west. And the JBTN country is going to be all the way on the right of the window and therefore on the east side of the window. So when adding this to a border layout frame, you need to indicate the orientation. If you don't do this, it will by default assume center, where I have nothing assigned at this moment, but I will do that later. Okay, so let's run. So there you go. Here we have our application again with a border layout this time, and indeed the name is all the way in the top, the age is all the way at the bottom, so south, city is on the left hand side, so west, and country is all the way on the east side, therefore right. Okay, like I said, if I don't assign any orientation, it by default will place it in the center slot. So there you go, it's now in the center, and since there's nothing anymore on the east side, there's nothing showing there. So country is now in the center slot. Okay, so just for tidiness and for the sake of demonstration, let's add another J button, JBTN center. And this dot JBTN center equals new J button center. So going to add this one, this dot add this dot JBTN center border layout dot center. And just for the sake of demonstration, I'm using this, even though I could have just left it default empty. So now if I add this, you will see there's actually a new button in the center slot. Okay, one more thing, like with the grid layout, it is actually possible to indicate spacing. So let's say 20 and 10. And let's use auto-completion. Okay, so the first one is the horizontal gap, and the second one is the vertical gap. Okay, so horizontal is 20 pixels, vertical is 10 pixels. So let's run again. Okay, so you can indeed see horizontally we have a slightly bigger gap, so 20 pixels. And vertically we have 10 pixels. And now the buttons have all become a little bit cramped. So say if I were to make my GUI a little bit bigger, my window size a bit bigger, you will see the buttons are automatically stretched out to maximize the space available on the screen, and now it actually looks a lot nicer. Okay, so that's basically the basics of border layout, and I can imagine that if you watch this video you feel it's a bit of a strange way of organizing your screen. The border layout is mostly useful when creating a screen out of smaller screen components using JPanel. But JPanels, that's the story for next time. See you then.